and guarded the garden, but in ease. But cursed is the ground because of you, and toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. And the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field by the sweat of your face. And you are to eat bread until you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and dust you return. And the man called his wife Hawa, because she became the mother of all living. And Yahuwah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife and dressed them. So here's the first sacrifice, animal sacrifice, blood sacrifice. He had to kill these animals to get their skins. So he made the coats and for the man and woman, and he dressed them in these skins. And Yahuwah Elohim said, see, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put his hand and take also from the tree of life, and eat and live forever. So Yahuwah Elohim sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. And he drove the man out, and he placed cherubim, that's a big angel, cherubim, at the east. The cherubs that we have today in little pictures of the little babies with, bow and arrows and stuff. Cherubim were these big, huge, massive warrior type angels. So, but he placed cherubim in the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword. Just try to picture flaming sword that turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life. I picture that. Kind of like a lightsaber. But anyway, my brain. And Adam and Eve knew Hawa, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gained a man, Yahuwah. And again she gave birth to his brother, Habel. And Habel became a keeper of sheep, and Cain became a tiller of ground. That's Cain and Abel. And it came to be in the course of time that Canaan brought an offering of fruit of the ground. So see, the offerings, the sacrificial offerings, go way before the all of the laws in the tabernacle. They were bringing offerings to Yahuwah from the beginning of time. And Habel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yahuwah looked at Habel and his offering, but he did not look at Cain and his offering. And Cain was very wroth, and his face fell. And this was just always really curious to me. It's like, what did Cain do wrong? And in studying and stuff, it's that his heart position was wrong. He didn't come with thanksgiving and reverence. And here's that, Habel brought the firstborn. He brought the best of the flock and their fat. He brought the best to Yahuwah, whereas Cain was more selfish, reserved the best back for himself, and brought, without reverence, just brought an offering to tick a box. So, and then he got angry when it didn't, when the father didn't accept it. And and Yahuwah said to Cain, why is he wroth towards you? And why is your face fallen? Is it not if you do good, you are to be accepted? So it's saying here that the way he brought his offering was not good. If he had, it would have been accepted. And if you do not do good towards the door is a sin. He is lying, and towards you he is his desire, and you must rule over him, meaning Satan. And Canaan told Habel his brother. And it came to be that when they were out in the field, I thought that was interesting. He told all of this to Habel, his brother. And it came to be when they were out in a field that Canaan rose up against Habel, his brother, and killed him. And Yahuwah said to Canaan, where is Habel, your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's guard? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out for me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. If you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. And Cain said to Yahuwah, my punishment is too great to bear. See, you have driven me from the face of the ground today, and I am hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and it shall be that anyone who finds me kills me. I find that curious because who all's out there? These are the first. So, anyway. And Yahuwah said to him, well, if anyone kills Canaan, he shall be avenged sevenfold. And Yahuwah set up a sign for Cain, lest anyone find him strikes him. So Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of Nod of the east of Eden. So here, other areas. And Canaan knew his wife. So this is over a time span of time, obviously. And she conceived and bore Hanak. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name Hanak, or Enoch. So we're going to find that Cain and his later brother Seth, their sons are going to have have the same names, and so we've got to be able to determine and distinguish. There's Enoch or Hanak from Cain, but later there's also going to be Enoch from Seth. Okay, and Enoch bore Arad, and Arad bore Mahalalel. That's another name, that one of Seth's sons. And he brought forth Methuselah, which is another one of Seth's sons. So there's two lines of genealogy with very similar names. And he brought forth Lamech, which, once again, same. And Lamech took for himself two wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the second was Silla. And Ada bore Yabal, and he was the father of those who dwell in tents with livestock. And his brother's name was Jubal, and he was the father of those who play the flute, or the lyre and the flute. As for Silla, she also bore Tubal-Cain, a smith of all kinds of tools and bronze and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Nahama. And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Silla, hear my voice, wives of Lamech, listen to my words, for I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. And Cain is avenged sevenfold, and Lamech 77-fold. And Adam knew his wife again. It's interesting, it just jumped straight from that. And then Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Seth. For Elohim had appointed me another seed instead of Havel, because Canaan killed him. And to Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called him Enosh. Then they began to call on the name of Yahuwah. Chapter 5. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam, and in the day Elohim created man. He created him in the likeness of Elohim, after his kind. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them, and he called their names Adam in the day they were created. And Adam lived 100. Now what I love about this is, because of the lifespan of these people, all of these generations were on the earth at the same time. So, the grandson would know their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. It's so cool. So, Adam lived 130 years, and he brought forth a son of his own likeness after his image and called him Seth. So when he was 130 years old, Seth was born. And after he brought forth Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he brought forth more sons and daughters. So, Seth's first 800 years of life, his father was still on the earth with him. And he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and brought forth Enosh. And after he brought forth Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 990 years, and he died. And Enosh lived 90 years and brought forth Canaan. And after he brought forth Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years, and he brought forth Mahalalel. And after he brought forth Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and brought forth Yared. And after he brought forth Yared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all of the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Yared lived 162 years and brought forth Hanak, or Enoch. And after he brought forth Hanak, Yared lived 800 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Yared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and brought forth Methuselah. And after he brought forth Methuselah, Hanak walked with Elohim 300 years. He brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Hanak were 360 years. Hanak walked with Elohim, then he was no more, for Elohim took him. So he got to go up and be with Elohim. This is how righteous he was. And Methuselah lived 187 years, and he brought forth Lamech. Seth's Lamech, not all of these, because I didn't really pay attention all the times that I've read this. It's like, yeah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. He begot so and so and begot. But when you start breaking it down and seeing the genealogy, it's so beautiful, and that there's two different ones. So as the stories we go into the stories, and they start telling more about these. We've got to determine whose son and whose line these people are. And after he brought forth Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and brought forth a son. He called his name Noah, saying, "This one does comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed." What a prophecy that is. Because the ground's going to be entirely different after the flood. And after he brought forth Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 770 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old when Noah brought forth Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So from what I'm gathering, they were triplets when he was 500 years old. So chapter 6. And it came to be, when man began to increase on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, the fallen angels, and that they were good, and that they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And Yahuwah said, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, as in his going astray. He is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years." So from this, I guess we're supposed to live to 120 years, but the way we live doesn't happen. So the Nephilim, here we go, the Nephilim, which are in the genealogy of Cain, were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of Elohim came to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name, so the ones that legends were made of, the giants and the warrior giants. So, and Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil. So here's like people say, "Oh, follow your heart." Our hearts are desperately wicked and evil. Yahuwah was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And Yahuwah said, I'm going to wipe off man from whom I have created from the face of the ground, both men and beasts, creeping creatures, and birds of the heaven, for I am sorry that I have made man. But Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahuwah. So exciting. Okay, so that's it for the Torah portion for this week. Now we go to Isaiah, and this has been like my 8th time of trying to make this recording, and I have had nothing but technical trouble. I've tried the last 6 days to get this recorded. So, but every time when I would read this, it didn't make sense. So I'm going to actually, it's 42, 42:5 through 43:10, but I'm going to start at 42:1 because it helps make it make more sense. See, my servant who I uphold, my chosen one, my being has delighted in. I have put my spirit upon him. He brings forth right ruling to the nations. He does not cry out, nor lifts up his voice, nor causes his voice to be heard in the street. A crushed reed he does not break, and smoking flax he does not quench. He brings forth right ruling in accordance with truth. He does not become weak or crushed until he has established right ruling in the earth, and the coastlands wait for his Torah, his instructions. And this is where we start. Thus says the El Yahuwah, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread forth the earth and that which comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it and the spirit to those who walk on it. I, Yahuwah, have called you in righteousness, and I strengthen your hand and guard you and give you for a covenant to a people, for the light to the nations. This is a covenant with Israel, because their whole purpose, and those who are grafted in and become part of Israel, the genealogy of the people of Israel, our purpose is to be a light to the nations, all the other nations that don't have Yahuwah Elohim as their God. So, to open blind eyes and to bring out prisoners from prisons, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. I am Yahuwah, that is my name. And right there, I am Yahuwah, that is my name. How important it is that we know his name, instead of I am the Lord, that is my name. That's not his name, that's a title. So, anyway, and my esteem I do not give to another, nor my praise to idols. See, the former predications have come, and new ones I am declaring. Before they spring forth, I let you hear them. Sing to Yahuwah a new song, his praise from the ends of the earth, you who go down to the sea, and all that is in it, you coastlands, and you inhabitants of them. Let the wilderness and its cities lift up their voice. Let the villages where Kedar dwells, let the inhabitants of Selah sing. Let them shout from the tops of the mountains. Let them give esteem to Yahuwah and declare his praise in the coastlands. Yahuwah goes forth like a mighty man. He stirs up ardor like a fighter. He cries out, yes, shout aloud. Over his enemies he shows himself mighty. And there we go. And I have kept silent from of old. I have been still and held myself back. Like a woman in labor, I now cry out. I pant and gasp at once. I lay waste mountains and hills, and I dry up their plants, and I shall make rivers become coastlands, and I shall dry up pools. And I shall lead the blind by a way that they have not known. In paths they have not known, I lead them, and I make darkness light before them. Amen. And crooked places straight. These matters I shall do for them, and I shall not forsake them. Those who trust in idols, who say to the molded images, you are our mighty ones, shall be turned back, utterly ashamed. Hear you, deaf, and look you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger whom I send? Who is blind as he who is at peace, and blind as servant of Yahuwah? You see much, but do not guard. Ears are open, but you do not hear. It has delighted Yahuwah for the sake of his righteousness to make the Torah great and esteemed. But this is a people robbed and plundered. All of them are snared in holes, and they are hidden in prison houses. They have become a prey with no one to deliver, for plunder and no one to say, restore. Who among you gives ear to this, pays attention, or hears for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for plunder, and Israel to the robbers? Was it not Yahuwah, he against whom we sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, and they did not obey his Torah. Meaning, because they disobeyed his Torah, he gave them over to other nations. That when like the Babylonians came in, I forget who conquered Israel, but the Babylonians came in and conquered Judah and took them away into captivity. I think it was Rome or Greece. Not sure. Assyrians, maybe. Anyway, so he was poured on him his burning displeasure. He has poured on him his burning displeasure and the strength of battle, and has set him on fire all around. Yet he did not understand, and it burned against him, yet he did not take it to heart. But now, thus said Yahuwah, your creator, O Jacob, and he formed you, O Israel. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I am with you, and through the rivers, they do not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you are not scorched, and a flame does not burn you. For I am Yahuwah your Elohim, the set-apart one of Israel, your Savior. I gave Mitzrayim for your ransom, Cush and Seba in your place. Since you are precious in my eyes, you have been esteemed, and I have loved you, and I give men in your place and people for your life. Do not fear, for I am with you. I shall bring your seed from the east and gather them from the west. This is when he gathers us all back together. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. To all who are called by my name, who I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. He shall bring out a blind people who have eyes, and deaf ones who have ears. All the nations shall be assembled, and the peoples be gathered. Who among them declares this, and shows us former events? Let us give their witnesses to be declared right, or let them hear and say, it is truth. You are my witnesses, declares Yahuwah, and my servant who I have chosen, so that you know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no El formed, nor after me there is none. And then in the Gospels, it is John 1:1-17. In the beginning, there's the in the beginning, there was the Word, Yeshua, Jesus, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him. And without him, not even one came to be that came to be. In his life is the life, and the life was, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from Elohim whose name was John. This one came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but that he might bear witness of the light. He was the one, yelling in the wilderness, make ye the way for the Lord. Repent. He was not the light, but that he might bear witness of the light. He is not the true light, which enlightens every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came to be through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. His first coming, and the Jews did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to become children of Elohim. And not just the Jews, it was anyone who chooses to be grafted into that bloodline or family tree. Who were born not of blood, nor of desire of flesh, nor of desire of man, but of Elohim. And the Word became flesh and pitched his tent among us. I love this because this is, we're actually in High Holy Day. It's the 8th day. It's the day after the week of the Feast of Tabernacles. And that's all the Feast of Tabernacles was about, is to remind us that one, he came and he pitched his tent among us. He came and he lived here among us, and that he is going to do it again. He's going to come back again and pitch his tent and live among us. And so that's what we've had the last week, to remember that he is and he will be, or he was and he will be. And we saw his esteem as of only one brought forth of a father, complete in favor and truth. Johanan, John, that's John the Baptist, bore witness of him and cried out, saying, this was he of whom I said, he who comes after me has come before me, because he was before me. And out of his completeness he did receive, and favor upon favor. And 17. For the Torah was given through Moshe, and the favor and the truth came through Yeshua Messiah. So that's it. Praise Yah. Hopefully I can get this uploaded. And thank you for joining me. If you know anyone who wants to start reading through the beginning of their Bible, the first 5 books of the Bible, share this with them, and be blessed, and shalom. Have a fabulous day.